talking with the public more one-on-one, helping them learn the ordinances, but also talking to them as though we're neighbors, because we need to make sure that San Bernardino County is a good place to live, a good place to work, and be a beautiful place for the residents.
Our code enforcement team continues to grow. We're working on some initiatives that are going to expand services and create new programs that'll help our county residents.
I'm very pleased with them always. I've dealt with them for a good 30 years now. There's reasons for the code enforcement, and we want our city safe, and you can see when you don't have the codes what you get.
I became homeless back in 2008. I lost my sister. Then I lost my mom. I went under depression. I was really sick. I couldn't walk.
Sarah, we met in late 2019. She was living in front of businesses along the street. We gave her some information and linked her with a post team and inroads for temporary transitional housing motel assistance.
So I think it's important collaborating with all the departments involved, because sometimes there's a situation where we'll have to gather together and just think outside the box how we could help that person out.
Inroads stands for Innovative Remote On-Site Assistance Delivery Service. From the time that I just recently had met her on the streets to today, she's so much happier, healthier, and is working towards getting her own apartment now.
We go to where the client is and taking the resources directly to them. And it helps build that bridge for success.
I don't want to be homeless anymore, and I thank the county staff and team that helped me through this. Thank you guys, and God bless you.
ARMC just received Level 1 Trauma Center verification by the American College of Surgeons.
It means that all of these services at the hospital are able to work together in a timely fashion to take a patient from the doorway to the definitive care place. We were Level 2 prior to this. By achieving Level 1 status, we've become a center that doesn't have to transfer any patients out to provide life-saving care.
It is well known as the county hospital that serves the Inland Empire region with high-quality medical care, but also a great place to train future physicians and future nurses.
We developed a program, actually just a partnership with our local hospitals, to go out and teach them about trauma. It's a phone call, and then we'll set a classroom for their physicians and ER nurses, and we're more than happy to go and provide this education, because our goal is to provide optimal care for all of our patients, not only in our hospital, but in the outside hospitals as well.
So I think having education in addition to being able to deliver high quality care, that's what I think makes this hospital a very special place.
San Bernardino County has always been the biggest, and once again, we're the best. Under the Board of Supervisors' visionary leadership, we earned an incredible 160 Achievement Awards from the National Association of Counties in 2023, winning more than any other county for the second year in a row. There are more than 3,000 counties in the United States, and San Bernardino County continues to stand above them all in terms of accolades for innovation, efficiency, and public service. This year, we were honored for streamlining staff training for our homeless point-in-time count, hosting 32 animal adoption events leading to more than 1,600 pet adoptions, making building inspections easier, keeping residents well-informed and safe following the El Dorado flood, teaching children the importance of good oral health, providing reentry support to vulnerable clients following incarceration, enabling local job seekers to succeed in their careers, increasing access to healthy foods for county residents, unveiling our Curtain of Courage Memorial. And this is just a sample of the 160 national awards that San Bernardino County earned for the services we provide to our residents and visitors. Thank you to our county employees for making this recognition possible.
Hi, my name is Angel. I am an enrichment specialist here at the San Bernardino County, specifically at the War Animal Shelter. For the whole day, I get to spend time and walk them, feed them, and play with them, and just improve their quality of life. I do enjoy being around animals. I grew up with them. I have had dogs my whole life, and cats as well. First thing I do, I normally just clean the play yard or the cattery room for the cats and dogs. And then I'll check my list to see what dogs are available to do enrichments. From there, I'm just taking one by one throughout the 10 hours that I work here. And I just spend time with them, feed them, play with them, walk them. But since right now it's summer, it's very hot, so we just play in the play yard and we're at the pool out there. What I like is that I meet new pets every day. I bond with them, make them adoptable, find them a new home. Especially when it comes to aggressive or shy dogs. They typically change when we provide these enrichments for them. Once they do get adopted, that's the best feeling. When you make a difference, such as changing their personality, they're gonna be adopted one day just because they're a happy animal. What makes me happy being working with this staff is that our main goal is to get these animals adopted. If you just love being around animals, this is the perfect job for you as well.
I personally always play ball with Levi. Cody always plays ball with Nolan. And then we have Sonia, who is upset if she doesn't get two buddies. There will be special requests on the field, like, no, you're my buddy, and then sometimes they get in arguments. And Miracle League is a baseball league for people with special needs. Our role is to go down there and be their buddy. Whatever they need, help getting around the bases because they're in a wheelchair, assistance hitting the ball, throwing the ball. It's our job to make sure that nobody gets hurt. Everybody there is just having a good time. Both teams are rooting for each other. You know, there's really no competition. There's no outs. Everybody's just there to have fun. It's just a really neat program to be a part of. 6 o'clock is game time. They'll do a national anthem. We buddy up with our players. Sometimes you have no choice in the matter. They come up to you and like, you are my buddy.
You want to be my
Absolutely.
buddy? Tyler?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're with them the whole time. So he hits the ball, you're running with him to the first, second, third. It's all about getting out into the community that we serve. And we'll run into some of the players at the grocery store, on medical aids. You know, they'll instantly, we'll recognize each other and talk about, when the next season is coming out. A lot of our players obviously have some medical issues, and we've gone to their houses on medical aids to already have the relationship. We already know each other. The parents already know us. It is a lot different than just going into someone's house that you don't know.
I grew up in this area, and there were not programs that made kids with disabilities feel normal. So this is like a normal thing. This is baseball. We started in May of 2013. Fire and EMS and police guys are heroes. For our players to have the fire department come out and help them and be their best friend for a night, that's huge. Awesome.
It's so beautiful being able to see like the parents come together and being able to hang out and communicate with each other. Being able to see the joy on the faces. There's literally never a bad day when I come to Miracle League.
We've had the opportunity to invest the town resources into Brimfield. They're used to the field. There's about a lot of comfort that comes from that. Yeah, it's been a real blessing to us in the community, and you can see the participation here. The bleachers are full every night. That's the thing I dig about it.
Throw it to Nolan. Throw it to Nolan. Nolan, throw it in.
Closely by Andrea. He hasn't said many of his one-liners. He's famous for saying, like, if somebody's like really swinging at it, he'll be like, he's chopping broccoli. He's chopping broccoli. I'm definitely invested in this community. It feels like home. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love it. All right, dude.
What's in there?
We brought gifts.
Oh!
Right?
Finally a hat.
Finally, right? I'm Zach Taylor, I'm the captain with San Bernardino County Fire Department here in Yucca Valley, and I'm proud to serve you.
Good job.
Today we are at the newly completed Birch Creek Bridge in Oak Glen. This project demonstrates the county commitment to disaster preparedness and disaster response. When Tropical Storm Hillary came through, it completely inundated this creek and destroyed the bridge.
The prior bridge crossing was a smaller 12x6 box culvert, which was heavily damaged by large boulders that came down the burn scar area. Our engineering department put together a quick project to replace the destroyed structure with two 10x10 precast boxes.
I'm extremely proud of our crews and our engineering teams for finding an innovative solution to replacing and repairing this bridge.
These two precast boxes tremendously improve the ability of water and debris to flow underneath the roadway. The project started in mid-September, and we're standing here now on the brand new bridge, which has been opened prior to Thanksgiving.
So often county projects get held up during design, or because of environmental concerns or material lead time. And this project, we were able to complete it in record time.
We have been cleaning channels and installing mitigation measures like K-Rail in preparation for the upcoming winter season. We have cameras in place to monitor the area remotely and have pre-positioned barricades and equipment to close down roads quickly and begin the cleanup process as soon as the storm is over.
With the reopening of this road, visitors and residents now have full access to their homes and local businesses.
Do you own a property in San Bernardino County? You may be owed a property tax refund. To find out if you have a refund, please visit the ATC website at sbcountyatc.gov. On the left side of the website, click Unclaimed Tax Refund Search. You can search for an unclaimed property tax refund by parcel number or street address. For example, if your address is 123 Palm Street, only enter 123 Palm in the search bar. There is no need to enter street, avenue, lane, or any other portion of your address. If you have an unclaimed refund, the bill number, parcel number, citus address, refund amount, and a link to the form will appear on screen. If you don't have a refund, you'll be notified of that as well. To request a claim form, click Form on the left-hand side of the screen, and the refund information will show on the next screen. If the mailing address is correct, click Yes and enter your name, email address, and phone number. If the mailing address is not correct, click No and complete the form, including where you want the form to be mailed. Your request will be processed in the order it was received, and the appropriate claim form will be mailed to the address provided. If you have any questions, please call 909-382-3090.
Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid being made in somebody's garage or their home, not controlled. It's 50 times more powerful than heroin and 100 times more powerful than morphine.
Stop the Void is a California nonprofit corporation dedicated to educating and raising awareness in our communities about the scourge of fentanyl. We started this organization because I lost my own son, Daniel Puerta, who was only 16 and a half years old when he passed away due to fentanyl poisoning. Due to the stigma of addiction and overdose, most parents feel that this could never happen to them. And I'm truly sorry, but it can.
San Bernardino County started with the Fentanyl Doesn't Care, But We Do campaign. Fentanyl doesn't care if you're a mother, a father, a son, a daughter, a co-worker, a friend. It just doesn't care. But we do in the county of San Bernardino, and that's why we created this campaign to bring awareness to the community.
San Bernardino County and Stop the Void have partnered together. Come to San Bernardino County website, Department of Behavioral Health, look at all the resources that they have, and make sure that you speak to your children. Numbers just came out for 2022, and it's north of 109,800 drug deaths in the United States. Roughly 77% of all of those drug deaths were due to fentanyl. This is why this message and this campaign is so, so important. If you think that it can't happen to you, think twice.
San Bernardino County's Land Use Services has now made it even easier for you to schedule your on-site, virtual, and self-inspections. It's called Easy Inspect, and it's a new mobile app available on the App Store and Google Play. Built with both contractors and homeowners in mind, Easy Inspect is an easy-to-use tool for viewing all of your eligible inspections right from your phone. You can schedule one or multiple inspections at your fingertips. For any additional help using Easy Inspect, visit easyinspect.sbcounty.gov or call 800-637-6655.
As we look at this monument, may we reflect on the memories and lessons of each very precious life, because it is this, our shared story, with all its pain and tragedy, that binds us together as a diverse community of people around our county today and even with those around our world. May this curtain of courage represent to you that we choose to join you in honoring the lives of your loved ones, our loved ones, and we'll never forget them.
December 2nd, 2015 was an unimaginable day for all of us. 14 people we loved were taken away from us on that day. Our employees were spiritually and physically wounded. It changed us all forever. Following the attack, the Board of Supervisors formed a memorial committee made up of family members, survivors, first responders, and county staff so we could build something that would stand forever as a testament to our commitment never to forget.
The Curtain of Courage is a place for us, one of mourning, but also we want it to be a celebration of life, akin to a small set of chapels, each signifying an individual loss.
Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I'd also like to acknowledge the High Desert and Joshua Tree video conferencing sites, and thank you all for joining us. Our invocation today will be presented by the 2nd District.
Thank you, Chair. Pastor Dave Zamora, Senior Pastor of Living Way Christian Fellowship in Fontana, shares a transformational journey from gangs, drugs, and prison to redemption. His passion and outreach led to the establishment of a men's home, church offices in his former parole location, radio ministry, and global teaching engagements. Pastor David is married to Mercedes with 5 children, embracing the joys of family and fulfillment of ministry through Living Way Church, which includes educational programs and international church plants. And with no further ado, Pastor Zamora.
I want to thank you guys for having me this morning. Let's pray. Father, we come before you, Lord. We thank you for this day. We're reminded of your word when it says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people he has chosen as his own inheritance." Lord, we commit this time to you and we thank you for your grace and your mercy. We also thank you that you lead and you guide and direct the hearts of those that you've called and placed in this position to lead. Lord, we pray for this time, this meeting, those here as attendees and represented, their families, and those that you've chosen to lead and their families as well. So it's by grace and grace alone that we look to you. We ask this in the name that is above every other name, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to our memorial adjournments. Vice Chair Cook.
None.
Supervisor Hagman. Supervisor Armendariz.
Yeah, I do have one I want to speak of. Yvonne Williams passed away on January 4th. Yvonne Williams was a member of the Fontana Exchange Club since 1998 till present and was president in 2005. She was the treasurer. She was the chairwoman of the Fontana Days. She was a Toastmaster. She also had a real estate career. She was known and recognized as a volunteer in Fontana and Rancho Cucamonga. Her life was a beacon of service, faith, and love. She had touched the lives of everyone she came across of, including myself. I had the pleasure of knowing this woman for about 20 years and watched her advocate and serve her community, and it is a true loss to Fontana and Rancho Cucamonga in her passing, and she leaves her husband, Ernest, and just her prayers go out to her family as they deal with her loss.
Thank you. Supervisor Baca.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to adjourn in memory of Paulino Gomez of Victorville, formerly of Rialto. He raised his family in Rialto, his children, Mario, Cassandra, and Levon. And it was personal for me because Cassandra and Levon were my students, and Cassandra was my softball player, and I had the opportunity to attend the services, which were at the Holy Family Church in Hesperia. And when I got to go there, it was almost like a coach's reunion for me. I got to see former players and parents there, but I tell you, he was a very young man at 47 years of age. You know, cancer hit him abruptly, and he lost it, but it's good to see his family, and it's good to be there to support them. So I'd like to adjourn in memory today of Paulino Gomez. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have 3 special presentations today, so if my colleagues will join me in the well. All right, I would like to begin with a resolution honoring Lori Searle. Can we have Lori join us up here, please? Lori is retiring after 35 years of service to the county. Lori began her career in 1989 at the Auditor Controller Recorder's Office. She later joined the Department of Children and Family Services and then advanced to the position of Fiscal Specialist with Human Services Auditing Division. Lori is retiring with the Children and Family Services Budget and Administrative Services Division, and we want to thank you for all that you have done for our county family and wish you well in retirement. Can we have anybody in the audience that would like to join her come on up for a photo, please? Lori, thank you very much for all your years of service. We wish you well in retirement. Thank you. Can I have Michelle Simpson please join me? Michelle is retiring after 32 years of service to the county. She began her career in 1992 as a fiscal clerk for the Superior Court of California. She worked across various departments throughout her career, including Transitional Assistance Department, Children and Family Services, Human Services, and the Department of Public Health. And finally, the Inland County Medical Emergency Agency. Thank you for all the fiscal expertise that you have brought to our county, and we wish you well in retirement.
Well, I'd just like to thank my family, my friends, and my ISMA family, and thank you to the board and the County San Bernardino. I enjoyed my time here.
Bring him up. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Can we have the ISMA family join us up here too, please? That's all right.
You can bring down my brother, my best friend.
All right, last but not least, can we have Brendan Biggs make his way up? This is incredibly bittersweet. I have had the opportunity to get to know Brendan and work with you over the years, and we're excited for you, but we're going to miss you. Congratulations. Brendan is retiring after 33 years of service to the county. He embarked on this journey in 1991 as a public works engineer and ended his career as the director of public works and also the chief flood control engineer. Over the past 4 years as director, Brendan led the department to remarkable achievements, earning numerous NACO awards and overseeing infrastructure projects totaling over $220 million. Brendan provided outstanding leadership, unwavering dedication, and integrity throughout his career. His guidance was instrumental in navigating us through emergencies from floods to blizzards and the unprecedented challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic. We thank you for all that you have done, and I'm so glad you came back in to be recognized for us to show you how much we appreciate you and wish you well in retirement.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the board for all your support, and it was really a pleasure working with you over the last few years. Really like to thank Luther and his team, Chad, Trevor, and all your mentorship and leadership. It's just been great to be part of. I was really honored to be part of your leadership team. All the other department heads that I work with, love the collaboration. It's been great. And so for my department, greatest department to work for, Public Works, all my leadership team, all the hardworking people there that have really made my job a lot easier. And last but not least, my family that my wife has an illness who couldn't be here today, and my daughter's watching online. Hello. My son's here, but for them, all the nights and weekends that I had to work, just their patience and dedication and support over the years, I really appreciate that. Yeah, Matt.
Thanks for sharing your dad with us for all those years. Here, I'll have you two hold that together in the middle. Thank you again for everything. All right, we're now going to move on to our reports from County Council. Tom?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the case of Caitlin Renee Brown et al. Versus Beta Lazari Gonzalez Garcia et al., the Board of Supervisors voted 5-0 to file a cross complaint against Southern California Edison in this action involving a collision with the Southern California Edison power pole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Luther, our CEO report.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick update on the status of the county's study on the impacts of short-term rentals. Land Use has been collaborating with our third-party consultant, Granicus, and the assessor's office to acquire some additional information that will help round out the study. The information will help identify the prevalence and occupancy of short-term rentals in the region, as well as some economic impacts of the short-term rentals. We received that information just on January 17th. And so we need a little extra time, Land Use does, to research and prepare and incorporate that data into staff's presentation. So thus, we're tentatively scheduling that presentation to come forward at the March 12th board meeting. So that completes my report.
Very good. Thank you very much. Brings us to our individual board member comments. Vice Chair Cook.
I'm almost at a lost words, and I have a new tie on, and it's. I think this is very, very special. What we do to honor people that have worked so long for an organization. My father, back east, he worked for the water department for 46 years, and I remember his retirement. He called me up. I was at Camp Lejeune. I was in the Marine Corps. And they did a 12-hour drive, get up there. And my father was the toughest guy in the world, but he broke down and cried. So I want to compliment the getting their workers. And this thing here might not seem like a big deal, but if you've gone through it, it is a big deal.
Thank you. Supervisor Hagman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few updates for the last couple of weeks. Obviously, everything's back in session after the first of the new year and the holiday season. So first, I had the pleasure of serving appointee by the chair with Supervisor Baca on the Homeless Ad Hoc Committee. And just the overview, I would say that the staff and the team has put together some great plans for the county. Is actually on the agenda today. The proposals is one of the items today with significant resources to build infrastructure for our unhoused here in the county going forward. And we'll be partnering with our cities, nonprofits throughout the county to hopefully really make a difference on the eve of our homeless timing count. So you're probably not going to see a lot of changes between now and the next count, but hopefully by next year's count, we'll see some significant improvements on that. Ontario Airport, I just want to give a brief update that we're on year 2 of all new highs since taking local control. And bringing that up is, so they're at the exceeded pre-pandemic passenger levels for the second year in a row, and an all-time high in recent history for Ontario Airport of adding new flights and destinations all the time. I sit as the representative for SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments, and just there's a good news and bad news. Bad news is the state is, obviously, we all heard about the budget. It's cutting some of the programs we have, including $1.2 billion, really cuts the regional early access plan, multifamily housing, and infill infrastructure. And as SCAG weighs in and others into the governor's budget, we'll see what actually tax we're doing. On the other side, it's kind of the opposite of the federal government. They have came out with a number of grants to be put out for a lot for infrastructure and other things, I think, before the November election. So those have been passed down to our department heads and through our staff here for things the county may apply for going forward. Lots and lots of grant opportunities out there. I serve also with the chair on IEHP, and we did our rotation of chairs, so I took over again this month for that. And IEHP will be increasing its outreach to provide different services going forward under the new rules of the state of California for that. AQMD is always considering different ways to cut down our production of emissions here in our South Coast Air Quality Management District. They're coming up with a new rule to restrict emissions from space and water heaters in homes. So be on the lookout for that, for new rules coming out. And lastly, our office is partnering up with the city of Chino Hills to host a free shredding event for county residents. It'll be held on Saturday, January 27th at the shops in Chino Hills. And we also participated in Chino Basin Water Conservation District, celebrating its 75th anniversary. And we put a medallion with all the board members' names on it in their, I guess, underground box that's going to be opened up 75 years from now. So that's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Baca.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to, once again congratulate, Brendan Biggs for his good work, and I think he's laid a foundation for staff to follow, and a lot of good projects are coming our way. And part of because of the good work that Brenda did, the county just received the active transportation grant, which will help the Bloomington community, where it's going to help 2 schools for safe routes to schools, Mary B. Lewis and Gerald Smith Elementary Schools, which are on the north side of Bloomington. It's eventually going to come to this board for acceptance, and then it's going to go for final ratification for the California Transportation Commission. These are great, projects for the community of Bloomington. I'm looking forward to those coming forward. I too also serve, as Supervisor Hagan mentioned, we serve together on the homeless subcommittee. I think one thing that's very, very important on this committee is we're really beginning to define the role of the county. I think a lot of times the county becomes an unfair target when it comes to homelessness. We have resources here, but I think it's important that we figure out how we channel those resources and work with our community partners, our cities, and our nonprofits to make sure, look, that we can begin addressing this issue. I think we have a more level of focus than the county's ever had in addressing homelessness. I'm looking forward to some of these projects that are going to come online. The challenge is some of these projects are going to take a few years, but I think we're going to look for some short-term solutions. I think the meeting we had last week with the Sheriff's Department really kind of enlightened some of the challenges that our Sheriff's Department has in addressing homelessness, but they also want to be a big part of the solution, so I'm looking forward to that. Also, just want to point out that one of our staff that's here, he's here outside and he's with us all the time. His name's Edgar Villanueva. He's a young man outside, a handsome guy with a tie and black shirt, or black tie and blue shirt. He's been our security here for many, many years, and I just want to say thank him for his service. He's getting ready to move on. This is his last week, and I know he's outside, so just thank him for the great work. I think he's done a great job, at least helping our office, but I think protecting all of our offices here, all the board offices, and really want to thank Edgar for his great service here in the government center. He's been very professional and looking forward to the great things that he's going to do. And also last week was at the Human Trafficking Symposium that Case and San Diego County Sheriffs hosted to really educate our community on human trafficking. I know they host one in the West End. They also host one in the High Desert. My colleague, Supervisor Armendariz, was also there to give some remarks, but really the importance of sharing data, but also sharing the importance of human trafficking. And all of us have, young brothers, sisters, young siblings that are impacted and affected by this. We have to continue to talk about it and share the message out there. But Case and San Bernardino County Sheriffs did an outstanding job, just really educating our folks on that. The other thing, just, I'll highlight now, since we don't have to do it during the consent calendar, 2 items on the consent calendar, which are very important. For me personally, item number 26, we're allocating $1.5 million of American Rescue Plan Act money for the San Bernardino City Unified School District to go towards Indian Springs High School. And you say, why are you investing in a high school? What's very important to this is going to deal with a wellness center, so helping to facilitate and fund a wellness center to make sure that, our kids get the help they need, especially with the role the county plays with behavioral health, trying to get our kids help so they don't commit suicides, so they can, hopefully make better choices, because at the teenage years, our kids are going through a lot. Anything we can do to help facilitate and help those kids, that'd be great. And the other item is number 48. It's an item we've been working on for a couple years. Brendan Biggs was part of that item. It's 5th and Pedley, which is an unincorporated area next to a school, Monterey Elementary School. Many people tend to speed and buzz down that road on 5th Street. This will help slow folks down, that allow people to cross the street and get to school safely. It's a great project in conjunction with the school district and the county of San Bernardino and the city of San Bernardino. And really want to thank the city of San Bernardino for also participating in it. And the last thing I just want to close on is just, this weekend attended the Jaden Daniels parade. I know it was a rainy day, but it was just a great day. It was good to see so many elected officials and community people that hung in there throughout the raid. And we're just so proud of Jaden and looking forward to him. He's projected to be the 3rd pick in the NFL draft. I know I see a bunch of Raider fans out there. He's probably going to go to the Patriots. But just want to wish him best of luck. So congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Supervisor Armendariz.
No comments today. No comments.
Okay. Today, I'd like to highlight agenda item number 57 on our consent calendar. This item accepts a grant from Caltrans in the amount of $3.7 million for Sunburst Park in Joshua Tree. And that funding will be used to clean up the park and add features like shade structures and lighting, and also improve older playground equipment and park features like accessibility. And we have some water features out there too. So we thank Caltrans for their partnership. And then the Department of Public Works has been busy over the past few days with the flood watch alerts. And so we've had some significant rain in different areas throughout the county. I would like to thank the department staff for tracking the storms, having all of the equipment pre-positioned in case we need them for flood response, and all of our first responders that would be involved in that type of an operation. We appreciate all that you do. As a reminder to our public, we have a new website for preparedness, prepare.sbcounty.gov. And then I have a question for our vice chair. I have been asked a couple of times about his hand and wearing of the glove. Paul, would you just briefly talk about that?
Yes, a number of years ago, 1967, a place called Vietnam. I racked up the arm and this hand, and anyway, that was a long time ago. Recently, I've been experiencing severe arthritis in this hand, and I've been wearing this glove and both gloves, and I'm not trying to do an impression of Michael Jackson. He's the greatest singer in the world and everything else. But I thought I would give you an explanation, because what happens, unfortunately, is the middle finger gets locked in and gets set in place. I'm serious. And the worst thing that a politician can happen is have your middle finger sticking up in place in the middle of an election year. So it bothers me when you young teenagers out there, when you get older, see, these are some of the great things you have to look forward to. But I am not Michael Jackson. I am not giving anyone the finger. So it's one of those things you deal with. Make sure you go to the the proper doctors, and maybe they can correct it. Sorry for that explanation.
Thank you, Paul. With that, we're going to present our agenda. Lynn, do we have any additions or revisions to today's agenda?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 24. Item number 24 is recommendation 1 is revised to read as follows. Adopt resolution A, authorizing the transferred ownership of 450 North G Street, San Bernardino, California, to 450 G Street LP. B, approving amendment number 2 to the standard agreement, state agreement number 20-HK-00112 for home key funds, adding 450 G Street LP to the standard agreement as owner of and co-applicant. C, authorizing the chair of the Board of Supervisors or the chief executive officer upon consultation with county council to execute amendment number 2 to the standard agreement, state agreement number 20-HK-00112 for home key funds. Recommendation 2 is unchanged. Those are all the changes I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If we have a board member who has a conflict of interest to disclose regarding an item on the agenda, now would be the time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to abstain from item 47 today. It's a public works project within a mile of my residence. So just to be safe, I'm going to abstain from that member.
Thank you. Any others? Seeing none, we'll move on to our consent calendar, which today consists of the items number 2 through 67. We have one request to speak from Garth Pizant. Morning, Garth.
Morning. Item number 41, approve amendment number 1 to contracts with the following agencies to provide medical care and support services under ending the HIV epidemic to $4,344,792. AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Desert AIDS Project, doing business as DAP Health, Foothill AIDS Project, Loma Linda University. AIDS, a disease epidemic created by humankind. How did it come about? Reference the Bible book of Romans, chapter 1, verses 26 through 28. That is why God gave them over to disgraceful sexual passion, for their females changed the natural use of themselves into one contrary to nature. Likewise, also the males left the natural use of the female and became violently inflamed in their lust towards one another, males with males, working what is obscene and receiving in themselves the full penalty which was due for their error. Just as they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them over to a disapproved mental state to do the things not fitting.
Thank you. That is the last request to speak that I have. Are there any members of the board who would like to pull an item for discussion or briefly comment?
Move approval of the consent calendar?
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye, with the exception on 47.
Any opposed? And Supervisor Hagman's noted abstention.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, the consent calendar passes with Supervisor Hagman abstaining on item 47.
All right, our discussion calendar today consists of items number 68 and 69. Item number 68 is a public hearing on the proposed increase to property-related services charge for road maintenance and snow removal in CSA 70 Zone R22, which is Twin Peaks. We have Trevor Leja presenting today, and we will open the public hearing. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Chair Rao, members of the board. Trevor Leja, Assistant Executive Officer. So I'm here today to present the establishment of a revised service charge for County Service Area 70 R22, which is in the Twin Peaks area. In 1989, this zone was formed to provide road maintenance and snow removal services for 77 parcels in the Twin Peaks area. Through subsequent annexations in 1995 and 2002, the zone boundaries have increased to now include 187 parcels. When the zone was formed, a $100 per parcel annual service charge was established. However, there was no inflationary factor built into that annual service charge. And so that $100 has remained unchanged since 1989. And so if an inflationary factor had been included since 1989, the per parcel service charge would be approximately $265 per year today. With the cost of inflation over the last 34 years and the lack of corresponding increase, services to the zone have been reduced. This reduced service, including road maintenance, has resulted in degrading of the road service, and without really immediate action to increase the service charge, this zone's long-term sustainability and solvency is threatened. This is a map of the zone. There's approximately 2 miles of roadway within the zone and 187 parcels, as I mentioned. And over the last 3 years, the department has been working on this effort. There's been many meetings and with the property owners residing in the zone. They first actually contacted special district staff requesting maintenance and enhanced snow removal services on May 27th, 2021. And an informational letter and map were mailed to the property owners outlining the anticipated costs and timeframes related to the enhanced service. A second letter was mailed on March 7th, 2022, and detailed a community town hall meeting, which was held in March of 2022. That second informational letter included a property owner survey card, which was sent to all 187 property owners within the zone. 75 of those were returned with 50 of those in favor of a service charge increase. A third letter was mailed in September 2022, and another town hall meeting was held in October of that year. That meeting included an online portal for online attendance based on some feedback that we had received by the residents. A third informational letter that included another survey. 52 were returned, with 36 of those in favor of the increase. So that brought us to April 25th, 2023, where we held a public hearing to increase the assessment from $100 to $816.60 and authorize a ballot election. This increase would have upped the operating and maintenance revenues, as well as provide funding for a 10-year loan for new road paving within the entire zone. Following the conclusion of that hearing, the board determined that further outreach and coordination was needed based on some feedback received from the community. So at that time, the property owner election did not proceed, and staff re-engaged the property owners, specifically to increase the assessment solely for operation and maintenance services. The department conducted another town hall meeting in August of last year, and at that town hall meeting, approximately 25 residents were in attendance. The majority of those favored an increase, and it was decided that funding for a future capital improvement project for road reconstruction would be reviewed separately at a later date. So pursuant to Prop 218, a written notice was mailed to property owners on November 10th, 2023, notifying them of the proposed charge, how it was calculated, and the notice of today's public hearing. That brings us to today, where we are proposing an increase from $100 per parcel to $268.42 per parcel, with an annual inflationary increase of up to 3%. And this would establish sustainable operations and maintenance program to continue to fund the operations into the future. And these benefits will be greater frequency of snow removal services, ongoing road maintenance repairs, and this increase does allow for future chip seal projects once fund balance is accrued. And so over the last 3 years, the department has been engaged with multiple meetings, and as with many of these underfunded road districts, there is a heavy administrative lift. The department has completed a substantial amount of outreach and received community input, and from those various meetings, previous public comment, town halls, there have been a number of questions that have come up. The first being, can these roads be brought into the county-maintained road system? And so the department has looked at this, and really the district roads are narrow, they don't meet county standards, and they really act more as driveways for the local traffic, really with the exception of Cedar Brook, which is the main thoroughfare through the district, but even that road has some challenges to bring it in. It's narrow in many areas. Another question that we've received is how is the new service charge calculated? So the proposed rate does reflect the ongoing cost to provide service, and based on the actual cost to provide the service, it's also commensurate with the inflationary increase from 1989. Another question we received is related to potholes, and so we'd like to address that as well. Potholes, quarterly we go out, the department goes out and does an inspection in the road districts, and from that inspection, as well as public requests through the C-Click Fix app, we make note of different potholes that need to be repaired, and those are generally repaired during the morning, or during the summer months. We've also received a question on tree trimming and if the district charges separately for tree trimming. And no, the district does not provide tree trimming as a separate charge. The district would, on occasion, however, provide tree trimming if necessary for the safety of through the road and clearances along the road itself. I did have the department look into how often we have performed tree trimming services. And over the last 3 years, there's actually only been one instance where the department had to clear 8 trees during an emergency at a cost of $3,800. So that brings us to our recommendations today. We've already opened the public hearing, so next the clerk would count the number of written protests, and from there, depending on if a majority protest exists, which is 50% plus 1, we would move on to the next recommendations. If it does not exist, the staff recommendation would be to move forward with a mailed ballot election to increase the service charge from $100 to $268.42 with an annual inflationary increase of up to 3%, and establish March 8th or later as the election day. And if a majority protest does exist, we feel that we would have exhausted all resources for this district and would recommend that we move forward with the procedures to dissolve the district. And so with that, I can answer any questions, I think, or go to the clerk.
Well, we have 3 requests to speak at this time, so if you don't mind, let's move to those. So I have David Marcos, who will be followed by Sydney Weatherford. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Board, for letting us speak and address this issue. I just have some notes here, but he addressed some of them, so bear with me. At the last Board of Supervisors meeting, the Board of Supervisors asked the county to give the community options and proposals. I just want to refer that they did not. Through most of this, although most of us in this community agree that an increase is warranted, I think the mass majority of us disagree on the 3% or at least on the control of that 3%. We don't want it just arbitrarily 3%. And that's, as we know, that is what's going to happen. At the last board meeting, we questioned why they do not maintain the roads. This is the first this gentleman addressed it. Again, I understand fully the county won't do dead-end roads or won't accept them. I understand that. Our biggest grievance is Cedar Brook is the main thoroughfare for traffic for everybody, and they're still building more houses at the other end of it. So that is at least the one street. There is a narrow part, but we have already identified county does do narrow roads, and it's equal to those roads as well. Again, no response was given at the previous meetings until just now. Also, the new proposal from county, or the last proposal from county, again, there was no, how do I want to say it? There was no questions and answers. They just proposed it. This is what you guys get. They didn't want to accept our grievances towards that. It was their way, only one proposal whatsoever. Again, another issue that wasn't brought up is also county road services also said a possibility of county providing some support, whether financial or materialistic, for the Cedar Brook Road. That has never been brought back to the table. Anyways, we propose, at least our area, we agree an increase. We just arbitrarily propose 250 annual budget, but no % increase over 5 years. And then review that after said 5 years. And this is also to keep things in check, but identify what's going on. One of the other last rules that county has, as special districts, is they are not to plow the road unless there's 4 inches or more of snow. We just had a little dusting, and they literally plow the road with less than 2 inches. So one has to ask the question.
That's time.
We're running out of funds.
Thank you very much. Sydney Weatherford, followed by Greg Kaiser.
My name is Sid Weatherford from Twin Peaks. I am a no vote against the special district proposal to increase the service charge for CSA 70R-22 Twin Peaks District. I vote no because the new proposal is illegal as written per state law Proposition 218, which was sponsored by the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association in 1996. In my hand are copies of the no votes presented to this Board of Supervisors back on April 25th, 2023, when you voted to not pass the very same proposal. The special district has rewritten the proposal, has reworded it, made it look better, but the core of this proposal is the very same. Let me explain. California Law Proposition 218, Article 13D, Section 6B, 1 through 5 says, requirements for existing new or increased fees or charges shall not be extended, imposed, or increased by an agency unless it meets all of the following requirements in B 1 through 5. Now, the proposal in front of you says the charge rate and inflationary factor will enable the district to perform appropriate road maintenance and snowplow service. And I quote, build a fund balance for the future emergencies and possible capital improvement projects, end quote. Subsection B5 states, fees based on potential or future use of a service are not permitted. The proposal in front of you refers to the rate increase as fee increase. Again, the proposal states this board property-related service charge will increase from $100 to $268.42 per parcel per year, with an annual inflationary rate of up to 3.0%. This is with a no end date listed. And once again, subsection B4 of this California law within Prop 218 states, the fee may not be imposed for a service unless the service is actually used by or immediately available to the owner of the property subject to the fee.
That's time.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Article 13D,
Sir?
Section B5
Sir,
says,
your time to speak has ended. No, I'm sorry, you may not. You can hand him your notes, and if that is Greg Kaiser who signed up to speak, then he may speak. He is more than welcome to take your notes and continue talking. Greg Kaiser, are you able to speak and to finish his notes? Okay. And that is the last request to speak that I have. This is a formal public hearing where we have to follow the rules very strictly. Sir? He is more than welcome to speak. He signed up to speak. Thank you. We'll bring it back to staff. Do we have any board member comments or questions?
I do, Madam Chair. If you don't mind. First of all, Trevor, thank you for the report. I mean, when I saw this, we saw this about a year ago, it really brought up a lot of questions of how many more special road district or special districts we have. Obviously, all of us know that there's been inflationary factors over the last 3 decades. This is 35 years ago since they assessed this fee. Have we had a chance to look into this? And see, there's a lot more of these.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Supervisor. So we have, we have about 47 road districts that are managed by special districts in the county. 30 of those do not have an inflationary increase. And of those 30, there are 13 of those, this district being one of them, that is really has severe cash flow issues. And we really project all of 30 of those without inflationary increases to see cash flow issues over the next 5 years. So it is very important that we...
Are we addressing those other districts?
And we are, and we have brought other districts forward. We do tend to only bring 1 or 2 at a time because of the administrative lift that it is. There's community meetings and community outreach, and so we do bring 1 to 2 at a time, but we are actively working on 3 or 4 right now in the middle of. And so of the districts that do not have inflationary, or that do have inflationary factors, that's the good news story from this, is every single district that has an inflationary factor is not on our list as a cash flow issue.
Where my home is, we have a road district, a road assessment that is, goes up every year. But what we do at Public Works is that we have a community meeting and we say, here's our rolling balance. This is what we plan to do, because sometimes it's the Surrey sill, other times it's a major road increase. I don't have snow, I don't have those things, but they go through that and we kind of give input as residents into how we do that. So you can't spend it to make it up. You have to put that money away into a bucket, and then if you have this much resources, and then we go for the road improvements in the neighborhood, whenever it needs to do that. So is that kind of like this set up in the same way in the special district?
Same way for this road district as well, and really all of our road districts. We accept input from the residents, and really we try to tailor the service to what the residents are looking for, coupled with what the need is for that district.
In this particular district, we've been contemplating this for, looking at history, 2 or 3 years now at least. So you can see why the staff's recommending putting the inflation factor in there, because it does take a lot of staff time to do this.
That's exactly correct, yes. Without the inflationary factor, we really...
We may end up with 35 years of no increase like we did this particular one. And then last thing, I know in the past when we've also abandoned certain roads where we just let the district go. I know cul-de-sacs, things like that, that's an alternative for the county as well if we don't want to maintain it. Is that correct?
Yeah, so in this case, if we can continue to have insufficient funds to maintain this district, the recommendation would be to dissolve the district. And in that case, all road maintenance, snow plowing would cease in the district, and it would, if approved, it would fall off the tax roll as well.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Luther, would you like to, excuse me, I'd like decorum in here. Sir, we do not shout out in the middle of a thing. You'll be asked to leave if you cannot, please. Luther, would you like to elaborate further on the inflator?
Yeah, I mean, before I do, fee increases are not fun for anybody. I mean, nobody likes to pay more for a service. I understand the concerns, but I think Trevor articulated it pretty well. We have seen a pattern where when those districts that don't have an annual inflator run into issues eventually financially. It is a significant amount of work that staff go through engaging with the communities for each of these districts. As Trevor mentioned, we have 47 road districts. So putting the inflator in place, contractors, fuel increases, service increases, those to just be built into this. It does say up to 3%. Now, we had gone and looked. Generally speaking, it is the 3% that is put in place, but there have been instances where we've held or only increased, reduced amount. So every year, a complete fee review is done, and those increases are put onto the tax roll. So I would advocate heavily for an inflator to be put in place as just being fiscally prudent and ensuring that the service can be maintained in perpetuity.
Any other questions? So I know we've received emails on this in favor of this from certain residents. We have heard from opposition and concerns. And just to elaborate then, these residents will vote. We're going to tally the vote here momentarily on what they choose to do with the levels of services, correct?
That's correct. So today is just the protest vote. So what we are looking at is do we have a majority protest here today to not move forward with this? And if we do not have a majority protest, the recommendation is we move forward with an election that would go out to all 187 property owners for a formal election.
Okay, thank you.
Could I just address one other item, Madam Chair? So the idea of building or accumulating fund balance, I understand the concerns that were voiced. I think the reality is those funds are available. They are put into the fund balance, and really only if they aren't spent on other services. If there's a need to spend them based on heavy snowfall in a year, then those funds might be spent, in fact, in excess of what was actually gathered in any one year. The intent is for services to continue to be provided. But then the goal would also be, when we've accumulated additional fund balance, we do road maintenance. Now, you might do a chip seal every 3 years. You wouldn't do it annually. So in that case, we would just allow every 3 years that chip seal work to be done, and we would fund it using that fund balance. But the funds are available, and it is within the law as far as how that is carried out and administered.
Okay. Any other questions? So right now, the first aspect that we have before us are options number 1 and 2. We've conducted the public hearing, and then option number 2 is to direct the clerk of the board to count and determine the number of written protests submitted by owners, to identify the parcels, and to determine if a majority protest of the proposed increase exists. So I'm looking for a motion and a second on those 2 items. I have a motion from Supervisor Hagman, a second from Supervisor Baca. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, the motion for recommendations 1 and 2 passes unanimously. And then with that, as of this point, there are a total of 187 properties in the zone. A total of 94 protests are needed to stop the item from moving forward. And as of this time, we've received a total of 6 valid protests. Therefore, the number of protests received do not meet the threshold to stop this item. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from board members at this point? All right, so I will close the public hearing. And since we do not have a majority protest, now I will entertain a motion for recommendation number 3 to authorize the mail ballot election. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, the item passes. Recommendation 3 passes. All in favor.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
All right, item number 69 is the Duke Warehouse at Slover Alder Conditional Use Permit Project being presented by Mark Wardlaw and Heidi Duran. This item was continued from the January 9th meeting. The public hearing at that time was closed to further public testimony, and we will have a follow-up on the items that were lingering for further research and presentation.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Mark Wardlaw, Land Use Services Director. Land Use Services has received an update from the applicant concerning the Duke Warehouse project in Bloomington. This is an update that's intended to respond to your requests from the last meeting on January 9th regarding their commitments with unions and interactions with the Colton Joint Unified School District. Concerning union engagement, the applicant maintains established agreements with both the Laborers International Union of North America and the Carpenters Unions. They also prioritize partnerships with general contractors who predominantly employ local union labor, and letters of support have been submitted to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors. Regarding interaction with the school district, the applicant has taken the following steps. They began conversations directly with Bloomington High School in February of 2022, and then with the Colton Joint Unified School District in April of 2022 to address concerns that were highlighted in an initial letter of comments from the district. This led to further discussions and the proposition of the following at a total estimated value of $50,000. It included a donation towards improvements to a gymnasium at Bloomington High School, providing the school with air filters, and funding a scholarship for their Business Pathways program, allowing students to participate in a competition in New York. Despite their efforts, these proposed offers were not accepted by the school district, and then subsequently, the applicant continued to make the same donation proposal with a total estimated value of $50,000. That recommendation, that proposal, was declined with the applicant at each step. Following approval of the project by the Planning Commission, the school district approached the applicant on November 10th, 2023, with requests for community benefits. This would result in a meeting on December 6, 2023. This initiated conversations with the school district, which continued even after the public hearing at the board meeting on January 9th. However, due to the existing community benefit agreement with the county, it's designed to provide community benefits ongoing to the entire community. The applicant is currently unable to accommodate the specific requests that have now been made by the school district. After January 9th board meeting, one additional proposal was made to the school district, an offer of $50,000, in addition to the community benefit agreement towards mitigation measures for the Bloomington High School facility. The offer was rejected again by the school district board on January 18th, 2024. The applicant and their CEQA consultant are here today if you have any additional questions.
Thank you. Any additional questions from supervisors? There's nothing stopping the applicant from continuing to work with the school district as they move forward.
Correct.
It just wouldn't involve us at the county. And I believe
correct.
we have representatives from labor here today that are involved in the project.
Yes, you do. Orange shirts.
Thank you. Any questions of board members, comments? Supervisor Baca?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I appreciate staff coming with the update, and I know that, one of the challenges for us, in communities like Bloomington is, one is we haven't developed any standards when it comes to, what community benefits are, what the expectations are of developers. It's all a negotiation, and that becomes very, very challenging because some may agree or disagree with some of the terms that are being negotiated. I understand that it's not an environmental justice zone. I had an opportunity to look at the map. I also had an opportunity to look at the location of where it is, and I'm very familiar with the Bloomington community. I know it's zoned industrial, and I understand people's beliefs in property rights, people being able to vote on things that, projects that are zoned for that. But, in this community, in my opinion, it just doesn't make sense, just because of the proximity to the school. And I have concerns with the district, not having some of their issues addressed. I know they offered $50,000, which is appreciated, but I also know that there were some other things that they requested, and some of these requests were not met. Some of them were a little over the top, and I don't agree with, but there are some requests that were reasonable, some sidewalks and some other improvements they asked for. But, I just think for me personally, I cannot vote for this at this time. I'm not gonna support it. I had conversations with several groups. I'm glad they brought up the union. I did receive the letter from the Mr. John Preciado from the LIUNA, and I respect John, have a great relationship with John. I did receive the letter from the attorneys that represent the unions. But, I just can't support it at this time. I hope they can work things out with the school district. I just don't think it's a good fit at this time, but, I have to respect my colleagues and their point of views, but I always try to respect my colleagues and their districts and their beliefs with their districts. I've always voted with my colleagues, whatever they respect in their districts, and I would hope they would do the same, but at this point in time, I just can't support this project. I know it does provide union jobs for the laborers. I want to thank you all for coming today, but that's just my position. I want to make sure I'm straight up. I believe in being a straight shooter, and this is where I stand, and I just don't think it's good for Bloomington at this point in time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I know that one of the frustrating things for me historically with regard to anything is government changing. So we set out and we say it is X. In this case, it's zoned industrial, and that would be the X. And then if we were to place additional conditions or restrictions, or we go ahead and we change the zoning to Y after somebody purchased it with that intent, that is super frustrating. You have businesses or even residents. I experienced that out in the desert regions where people bought in rural living, not having an expectation of trash transfer stations or certain things next to them in that rural living zone. When we changed that zoning, we saw it with a project earlier, that it really infringes on people's property rights. And I know the Supervisor Baca just talked about that. And those are philosophical differences that we all have varying views on. And so I would encourage us to look at where do we have incompatible land usage zones. So if we have existing industrial that is across the street from residential, perhaps that is not appropriate, and we change those within our development code prior to development going through the long, arduous, and expensive process of coming to our county and bringing their business here. So that is something that I think that we can look at before we get to this point in the process so that we don't have frustrations all around.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I echo some of the same points you said with land use and the fact that, certainty as far as zoning and different things, if people are going to spend the time to look at our county for investment, some of those things need to go. I think I'd be much more sympathetic if we were here trying to get a zone change for industrial. And I completely understand Supervisor Baca's position on this, on that as well. But this has been stated industrial for a long time. And I know that he has a lot closer ties to school districts. I don't know those inside, but I expect government entities to be a little bit higher as far as getting involved in the process earlier. They were contacted 2 years ago, and they're just now doing their final demands. So last month or so, I think they need to step up, work with our staff as a peer, and try to get those things in with the development before it ever comes to us. For those conditions, very sympathetic, but I do believe in certainty of land ownership and hope that we be able to move this out today.
Any other comments, questions, a motion? Vice Chair?
Yeah, this is extremely difficult. There's part of me that I'm concerned about warehouses and things of that nature. But I'm also concerned about jobs. And, there's people that are wearing shirts out there. They've known me for a long while. And I remember we had a battle a couple of years ago we lost. It was about water and pipelines taking it from the desert. And quite frankly, there was one senator that was very, very powerful. And it was very, very ugly. We lost. And I thought the number of jobs that are represented in this room here it really hurt. I think my past, I'm always concerned about the jobs, and right now it seems it's always the jobs against the environment. And some of these are very, very hard. Right now, with the support of the number of people, I'd be inclined to support that just for the number of jobs. It seems as though the last 3 times I've been on the losing end of this. And quite frankly, I've been in support of the orange shirts here. It's getting harder and harder and harder. But these people, they work very hard for their families and everything else. when it comes down to the aesthetics, the whereabouts of certain buildings, as to opposed to the human concerns, and that is the families and the jobs and everything else. In this particular case, I'll support the laborers.
Madam Chair, I move items 6 to 9, items 1 through 7.
Have a motion? Looking for a second?
Now, if the motion is,
To move the item as staff recommended.
so if I second it, then we come to a vote, and my,
Correct.
yes.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Supervisor Armendariz? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, the motion passes 4 in favor with Supervisor Baca opposing.
Thank you very much. We will move now to our general public comments. I'd like to remind folks that this is on items that are not on our agenda today. I see that some folks have signed up to speak on number 69, but this is for items not on today's agenda. So we will start off with Garth Pizant.
Good afternoon before the Honorable Board of Supervisors. Legislature statutes are formed by the people. Unadulterated law is decreed by Jehovah God's divine law. The Assembly Bill and the Senate Bill are dressed with the state governor's signature, accumulated by opinions of mere mankind, alienated away from God's thoughts, resulting from voting practices, revealing mankind's intent, in which comes from imperfect, sinful reasoning. The California Constitution was drafted by mere humankind. Therefore, the vote is substitute for divine law. Now we can see why the world is so messed up. California law, criminal law, incompetent to stand trial. You, the defendant, are forced to take classes geared toward elementary school detainment by an attorney who has no right to authorize such an appointment. The defendant, therefore, is appointed to a psychologist who has no experience in accurate human behavior based on evolution, shatteringly destructive explosion, creating a tadpole to a monkey to a Homo sapien. The judicial officer accepts the psychologist's evaluation based on guesswork, trial and error, imagination, and lies. And you wonder why you are forced to take a plea bargain against all practical sense. The state of California versus Joseph Moulton, case number FSB 180000448, convicted and sentenced to 39 years state prison term for attempted murder, victimizing a pillow by Judge Wilson of the San Bernardino County Superior Court. Judge Wilson is a House Negroid persuaded by a district attorney, Mr. Wong, an Asian American citizen. It is demanded that the district attorney, Jason Anderson, do a fresh investigation on Mr. Moulton's case with the intent to free Mr. Moulton and sanction the state of California on behalf of Joseph Moulton for relief in an amount that is fair and equitable.
Thank you. Next up, we're going to have Margaret Cashin, followed by Carmen Gallegos.
Hello. I'm here to advocate for better animal welfare in San Bernardino County. Regarding DeVore Animal Shelter, can we revisit the policy on quarantine holds at DeVore Shelter? Allowing rescues to photograph gives them time to pre-plan for an animal. Wanted to speak a little bit about animal shelters across SB County. It seems like there's no one entity that oversees all the shelters in the county. To the best of my knowledge, Yucaipa contracts with the county. Upland has its own shelter. DeVore and Big Bear are overseen by Department of Public Health. SB City Shelter is overseen by the City Council and the Mayor of the City of San Bernardino. Apple Valley Animal Shelter is overseen by a City Council and a Mayor. I'm not sure about that. It seems SB City Shelter recently signed a contract to accept animals from Fontana, Colton, and Rialto. These towns were sending their animals to Riverside County, but Riverside said they don't want to take animals outside of their county anymore. It's my understanding that the contract that SB City Shelter signed has not been fully executed. It feels like their actions will impact Devore Animal Shelter. Their volume will increase dramatically, but they have not expanded their space, and they still seem to lack the funds, employees, protocols, processes, and systems in place to handle this. This is speculation on my part. I don't have all the facts. I'm still researching. Apple Valley Animal Shelter statistics for August through November 2023. Dog intakes are 1,724 dogs. Of that, 480 dogs were euthanized. That's 28% of the dogs that entered the shelter. Cat intakes, 1,179 cats. Euthanized 852, which is 72% of the cats that entered the shelter. It's extremely high. I'm going to start focusing on Apple Valley in the future. I do think that they need help. Someone look into the following, and this is speculation. It seems like SB City Shelter purchased a mobile clinic van. I don't know when. It seems like they are in search of a vet to staff in order to provide services. In the interim, while they look for a vet, would it be unreasonable to suggest that a registered veterinary technician could do vaccines and microchipping? That's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carmen Gallegos, followed by Jane Hunt-Rubel.
Hello, I'm just here. Sometimes I do make random calls to various agencies. I've worked in this place for a long time, but I noticed there was a fire underneath the bridge, which is a washway, I don't know, but it was under a county parking lot downtown. Anyways, so I did call the fire department. They came out, but they also addressed the situation. They talked to these people before, but they are lighting things underneath to see these pathways. So I don't know if they could put lighting underneath there so they don't start fires. Also, to put ladders in too, because whenever they build something, they forget that they don't put the stairs or check on it, even for their own workers or anybody else too. I mean, with all the water coming in, my concerns is too, you don't want someone to get washed away or, accidents do happen too. Just to let you know. Who do I address that to or just?
Your fire chief is to your right.
Oh, okay. Good. That's who I've been calling. It's either city or county. So I went to city and they had to come over here, so.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Of course. Next up, we have Jane Hunt-Rubel, who will be followed by Thomas Ruiz.
Good morning, board members. I haven't been here in a while. Anyway, I'm back. I was going to talk about the problem, well, it's a countywide problem, but specifically our community of Muscoy, about the trucks. We're getting more and more trucks, people that live out there, and are parking it on their lots. And they're ruining our streets because they were never built to hold that amount of traffic, especially big rigs. And so and along Cajon Boulevard, there's more since I saw some for sale signs on this one property before Cajon. It's on Cajon Boulevard and it's in Muscoy, but there's more and more truck places along the side of our road on Cajon, and it's an eyesore. They dump stuff there, and I'm tired of it. And I'm on that county's SB, not the county, the state's SB AB 617. And tomorrow at the local library out in Muscoy, the Baker Learning Center, they were supposed to have, I'm going to be the keynote speaker, but they were supposed to have them bus new, I'm supposed to take them on a tour of Muscoy, showing them all the hot spots where the trucks are, and specifically along Cajon Boulevard. And it's getting ridiculous. Aside from the air pollution, they're ruining our streets, and there's too many trucks, big rigs out in our neighborhood, and it's ruining it. And land use doesn't seem, there's one property across from me that I complained about to the people from land use, and still they have their big rigs. They're running a business there, And there's a lot of lots out there, not only big rigs are parking on their property, but they running a junk car business. And it's unacceptable, you know, and I'm just tired of it. But tomorrow, the guy from CSC phoned me and he said they're not going to be doing a tour, but I'm going to give a 30-minute speech about the problems in Muscogee, so about concerning the truck traffic. But they said in a future date, probably in summer, they're going to redo it and have me take them on a tour. Because I want them, this is a really bad problem out there, and I'm just really tired. I'm on these committees, and a lot of these warehouses are going belly up, and there's so many vacant warehouses, which leads me to believe last year I read you from the newspaper by city economist saying that Riverside, San Bernardino County has got to stop promoting
That's time.
warehouses.
Thank you very much. Thomas Ruiz, who will be followed by David Wilder.
Good evening, or good morning, Madam Chair and the rest of the board. My name is Thomas Ruiz. I'm a representative with the Laborers International Union. And I just wanted to come up here and wish you all a happy new year. As we bring in this new year and you take on new challenges and new decisions, I want to thank you for all your past hard work of getting these men in orange shirts to work, and for all your staff and your departments that are constantly looking for funding, whether that's through development agreements or through federal or state grants, to build infrastructure in our county, to move it forward. On behalf of our membership, we want to thank you.
Thank you very much. David Wilder, who will be followed by Anthony Dionis.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. I'm here on a complaint under the ADA. I know for a fact the county has an ADA coordinator. I recently, well, a year ago, the director of the Aging and Adult Services, Public Guardian, invited the Senior Affairs Commission to attend a conference in LA County. I immediately asked for a reasonable accommodation so that I can take my personal care attendant with me. If nothing else, you could see he pushes the wheelchair. I was told 3 days later that it was denied. No information about who denied it, no information about how to appeal. That was tough for me. I don't like retaliation or punishment. I've had over a decade had an agreement under the reasonable accommodation for me to receive the printed material being handed out at the commission meetings and also the presentations, PowerPoint, and so forth, that I would receive them on the Friday or by Friday of the week before the meeting. I no longer receive anything. We just had a meeting on the 17th. I'm chair of the commission. I had no agenda, no minutes, and nothing on the PowerPoint presentation. What they did was hand out a stack of paper to each commissioner so they could try to follow along. This is unacceptable. I have brought up issues with the department about some of their contractors and some of their contracts. And I feel this is retaliatory for me bringing these items up. There are 3 breaches of contract by the department. I'm president of one of the organizations. Our contract said we would be reimbursed within 60 days. They were at 6 months and counting. On the 17th of February 2020, under agenda item 2, public comments, I informed the commission that the department was in breach of contract and explained what that meant. 5 days later, we received a deposit of over $34,000 that they had owed for a long time. At the same meeting, I recited the Older Americans Act section on the area plan, the 4-year area plan. that states very easily, the Area Agency on Aging shall submit the area plan and amendments.
That's time.
Sir, someone will be reaching out to you shortly to address the issues that you mentioned today. Thank you. Next up, I have Anthony Dionis, followed by Andrew Graff.
I don't see either one of them.
I don't see one more time for Anthony Dionis. Diones. All right, do we have Andrew Graff? Good morning, sir. Next up, we'll have Dr. Frank Miranda.
Good morning, Chair and Board. My name is Andrew Graff. On behalf of Californians Allied for a Responsible Economy, or CARE-CA. CARE-CA was deprived of an opportunity to comment on new evidence that was submitted prior to the Board's consideration of item number 69 today. And I wanted to just request the opportunity to highlight the continuing defects in the environmental review that was county conducted for this proposed
Sir,
project.
You are more than welcome to submit them in writing. We can accept them in writing through the clerk of the board, and she will disseminate them all to us. But today, right now, it's items not on our agenda today.
Okay, we did submit written comments prior to the board's consideration of this item. They were emailed and also hand-delivered prior to the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next request that I have to speak is Dr. Frank Miranda.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Board of Supervisors. I'm Dr. Frank Miranda, the Superintendent of Schools for the Colton Joint Unified School District. I represent the interests of 20,000 students in the cities of Grand Terrace, Colton, Bloomington, Fontana, Rialto, Loma Linda, and also the County Riverside. And so I did want to make a statement. I know I heard the comment earlier about discussions regarding items. But I'd like to at least attempt to try to correct the record and the mischaracterization of the facts of what was stated earlier, because the district commented on this project every step of the CEQA process. For 2 years, January 2022 was the first
Sir,
letters. So we submitted letters.
Sir, I would encourage you to.
I understand that.
If you can please speak on items that are not on our agenda today. And if you
okay.
have further concerns about what happened previously, you are more than welcome to submit them in writing to the clerk of the board.
Just note that Board of Supervisors, we will continue to oppose and seek court litigation necessary because the impacts are not acceptable on our students next to our high school, Bloomington High School. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joaquin Castillos, followed by Andy Siegel. Joaquin Castillos. All right, Andy Siegel. Next up, we have Darby Osanya.
Hello, good morning. It's pronounced Darby Osnaya. I understand if some folks have, can't read, but it's Osnaya. But yes, and we are on occupied Yuhaviatam land, which with everything that is said before us with the prayers and the Pledge of Allegiance, but we do not honor that we are on occupied Tongva land. But we continue occupying. So I want to say thank you to the one vote that is against the occupiers. It is very clear that there is people on the board that do not care about youth, especially one that had to make a mention about their condition and had to taunt teenagers about it for some reason because they don't understand about arthritis, I guess. But whatever, I stand in solidarity with Colton Joint Unified School District, stand in solidarity with Bloomington. We are not for sale. And thank you for the person who represents Colton, Bloomington, and is not selling us out. For the rest of you, please watch out. It's election season, and we are all watching. And free Palestine.
Veronica Golub, followed by Georgia L.
Good morning. There are over 1,900 signatures on my petition asking you to cancel your contract with Apple Valley Animal Shelter, or AVAS. In 2023, AVAS killed over 3,600 animals. They're only open 5 days a week, and with their holiday schedule and random closings, they were closed for 124 days. That's an average of 15 animals killed per day. Currently, SBC is paying Apple Valley over $1 million annually to take in the county animals. Since they don't have the capacity, both staff and space for these animals, they are getting killed quicker than other shelters in the area with minimal exposure to the public. I went through the available dogs on their site this weekend to see how many of them were actually coming from SBC County. AVS had 86 dogs and puppies listed on their site, and 58 of them were from county. That's over 67%. Do your constituents know that the lost animals in unincorporated areas of SBC are likely to wind up in Apple Valley? Supervisor Baca, there was a dog there from Bloomington. I tagged you in the Facebook post. Before you signed the contract with AVS, you researched various options, including private facilities. It's disappointing the VVAPL, Victor Valley Animal Protective League, did not want to help the animals of Apple Valley and chose to keep an empty shelter facility less than 4 miles from AVS while animals continue to be killed there. However, some of the amazing staff from VVAPL are actually working at Victorville Animal Control. The town of Victorville will be taking over an old high school to refurbish and open their own shelter. Please consider partnering with Victorville instead of AVS. They anticipate their shelter to be up and running this fall. Perhaps with additional funding, SBC could help open sooner, maybe when your contract will be up with AVS in July. I'm certain that additional VVAPL staff will work at Victorville Shelter once they open. That's half the battle. I think we all can agree that an organization is only as good as the management team who lead it. So what kind of example is Gina Whiteside setting for the staff when she chooses to focus on her career as a fashion photographer instead of the animals as the director of AVES? Gina Whiteside will be in New York City in February for a fashion event, traveling with her tour again. On January 1st, she posted on her IG account, Pics by Gigi, looking forward to another fantastic year touring with the best, the Fashion Life Tour. How many more animals will have to die for SBC to finally end this reign of terror at the death camps of AVES? Please do better for the animals of SBC. Thank you.
Thank you. The last request to speak that I have is from Georgia L.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and Board of Supervisors. My name is Georgia. First, I want to express my appreciation for the recent steps taken to address irresponsible and inhumane breeding through county initiatives, such as circulating flyers asking citizens to report them and the upcoming RFP for TNR services. Also, the new enrichment program for our county shelter animals is a positive change the community fully supports. I humbly stand before you to bring attention to an issue that many of us are concerned about regarding the crisis involving our discarded companion animals at the San Bernardino City Shelter. A partnership contract recently authorized with the cities of Fontana, Rialto, and Colton with the San Bernardino City Department of Animal Services will bring thousands more animals to our already overwhelmed city beginning in a few short months. This rush decision was made without input from the animal control commissioners nor public knowledge, which has caused great concern among private citizens, local rescue organizations, and networkers desperately involved in trying to save these adoptable animals. As taxpayers and volunteers, we are emotionally, physically, and financially burdened but invested in making a difference, though it is unfair to continue overextending ourselves, especially when the Animal Services Department has received substantial grants to help alleviate this burden. Furthermore, we have experienced a delay in utilization of the mobile vet purchased through a generous grant from the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, which could have at least started vaccinating and microchipping the animals in our city. I am also alarmed with the discontinuation of license checkers that were a way of community outreach and assurance of rabies vaccinations, which could potentially lead to a rabies outbreak as many strays left to the streets potentially exposed to diseased wildlife. I recently read reports of wild packs of dogs in Riverside County resulting in vicious, fatal attacks on citizens. An allocation of funds towards a new $65+ million city animal control facility raises questions, particularly when essential workers such as firefighters and other first responders are underfunded and overwhelmed, which was recently brought to our attention at the last City Council meeting on January 17th. With the construction of a new county animal care building, it seems impractical to build two separate multi-million-dollar facilities when collaboration with the county could better serve our city needs and allocate resources more effectively. I urge you, Supervisor Baca, and the board to acknowledge the strain of our current facility and our firefighters are under and beg you to take action. Last, the suffering of animals in our care is a shared burden, and it's crucial that we reassess our current approach to ensure the well-being of both the animals and the community you serve. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. That is the last request to speak I have, unless anybody who I had previously called is in chambers. All right, with that, we stand adjourned. The next regularly scheduled Board of Supervisors meeting will be held February 6th here in chambers at 10 a.m. Thank you.